Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show. Are you there? Are you ready? Hi everyone, this has been a week full of news, but also we have the topic of the day, which is a quite controversial one. A lot of people saying, if the elections are rigged, will they still decide the fate of America as a brainwashed nation? Well, guys, I think we are in front of an unprecedented moment in time, because in 2012, under the Obama administration, as I explained in my latest book, volume 11 of my Confessions, which is the past, present, and future of mind control from Sun Tzu to MK Ultra and beyond, I explained how the Smith-Mundt Act was reformed. There was an amendment, and so at that point they can actually brainwash the American population, at least partially, without having problems. Christy, what do you think about that?
I think that it's working.
I think that it's working. Okay, exactly. Well, the interesting thing about all this is that most Americans think they are in for a fair election. The problem is this: of course, there's going to be many attempts to sabotage the whole thing. But first of all, there is a battle for your mind. They have been hacking your mind. So welcome to the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy, our weekly rundown of the latest news. And on top of that, of course, the subject of importance of this week. Sooner or later, we will dance again.
When I see my dog again, and I see Jesus, I'll dance again. But until then, I'm not dancing.
Okay, so who are the sponsors of today's show, Christy?
David R. Camera, Daniel Estes, Bruce Kodish, Malgorzata Minsa, and a new one. Well, she's not new. She's been with us for a long time, but we see her now and then. Ellen Sukatre.
Oh,
thank you so much. That was nice.
We should put some air conditioning, because for 3 days in a row, Palm Springs has been the hottest town in the United States. So we want to particularly thank our sponsors, because it's thanks to our sponsors that we managed to pay these excruciating electric bills that mostly go into feeding the AC, which is indispensable when you have this kind of temperatures. I repeat, this is not us saying it. Just go on the latest news, the mainstream news, of course, and they will tell you Palm Springs has been the hottest city in the United States.
Generally, we're very hot here, but normally it gets cooler by this time, like around September, the end of September. It starts to get a little bit nicer. But we're still at 110. It's like 112 right now, and it's 5 o'clock here, so...
So thank you again to our sponsors, and at this point we should of course start talking about That's it. Okay. So why this subject? As you know, I have recently published a book about mind control, and everybody's, of course, focusing very much on this upcoming presidential election. for the first time, I will be also voting in this general election as an American citizen.
Let's make sure our audio is okay. Is our audio okay, everyone?
Yes, so let's check the audio first of all. Yeah, actually, it wasn't that great.
See?
How was the audio at the beginning of the show, guys? How was the audio at the beginning of the show? Please comment on the chat board so we can know if the audio is okay. It was a little...
Yeah, because last week we had a problem. We had to cut off the first intro because of...
We might have to cut it off again today because we had the same problem altogether, which is a little bit annoying, but that's how it is. Okay.
What? I got us back. So
yes, absolutely. So we are now with the proper audio ready to start transmission and talk about the subject. It's been, of course, in the news in the last few hours. We have another big event that happened in the Middle East with the killing of the head of Hezbollah, Nasrallah, who is a terrorist, but immediately, you have the mainstream news depicting him as some kind of hero, like, this is no longer a terrorist in the eyes of the mainstream media, because the mainstream media has this, is in love with these terrorists, with these Islamists, and that's what happens, unfortunately. So we have the death of a very important figure in the Middle East that will trigger, probably at this point, a full-scale war, which, as you know, it's almost 1 year since the 7th of October 2023, when Hamas entered Israel, unfortunately slaughtering many people and doing terrible acts of terrorism, including also the kidnapping of many people who are still in their hands. But this is a different front. This is the north of Israel. This is Lebanon, and Hezbollah came into existence with the first war in Lebanon in 1982. That was the beginning of this new group, terrorist group. What happened is that Lebanon was a beautiful place. It was actually known as the Switzerland of the Middle East. They even had casinos. It was very luxurious yachts. It was a little bit like the Principality of Monaco in some parts of it. I mean, it was incredibly different from what we have now. How did it get so bad? I mean, Shia Muslims have always been, let's say, indigenous to those lands, but they coexisted with Christian Maronites, with the Jews, without any major problems, until the Palestinian, the OLP of Yasser Arafat arrived with a lot of people into this country and destabilized it. They destabilized this country. They brought war into Lebanon, and in the end, this war, of course, caught the attention. I mean, they destabilized Lebanon so much that they basically invited in the IDF. Israel had to do something about it. And that was the first, let's say, the first Israel-Lebanese war. Then we had the second one in 2006, but the first one, let's say, the IDF retired in 1985. So at that point, there was the creation of a sort of security line between the two countries, and there is also a united, it's called UNIFIL, which involves also 1,000 Italian soldiers and many others from various countries as sort of a peacekeeping mission. However, with the change in the current situation, it's not going to be any longer a peacekeeping, but it's going to be a peace enforcing, which is a totally different matter. In fact, already Italy has sent a new unit of soldiers there in the area, but many other countries are preparing. I mean, the United Kingdom has around 600-700 soldiers already stationed in Cyprus. So the situation is, of course, getting worse and worse. But the killing of Nasrallah, it's like another cockroach has been killed. But if you go by the theory of the cockroaches, then there is another one waiting to take his place. However, Hassan Nasrallah was the second person who headed in its history since the foundation in the early 80s till now this organization, and his predecessor was also killed by the Israeli forces. So it's not the first time that a head of Hezbollah gets killed by Israeli, but definitely in the killing there was also a general from the Iranian National Guard present there who was also killed. At the moment, Iran has put his supreme Ayatollah, supreme religious leader, which is also the de facto leader of a country which is a religious Islamic fundamentalist mixed with leftist approach. That is what the Republic of Iran is, but it's pretty evil. And now, of course, we have the supreme leader Khamenei, who has been brought to a secure location because they are very scared that he's going to be next. I mean, the last few months have seen the sudden death, and we really don't know the exact circumstances of the president of Iran who went down with his helicopter. Then later on, we had the killing of the leader of Hamas. Hamas is a Sunni organization sponsored by the Qataris, by the Wahhabis, but at the same time with a military collaboration that for a long-standing military collaboration with Iran. And we have then after that the killing now of the leader of Hezbollah. What does that mean for the Middle East? It means now a full-on war for sure. I mean, of course, they're going to go after whoever succeeds in Nasrallah, but the situation is different than Hamas. There is a difference that I want to explain before we move further with the rest of the news. Hezbollah is regarded as the most powerful Arab armed force in the Middle East. They have an armed force that is bigger than the armed forces of Lebanon. So they are basically hosted there in Lebanon, but they have actually a bigger military force than Lebanon. So they are considering the Arab world the biggest. Of course, we don't consider Iran an Arab force because they are Persian. They're a completely different race. So the fact that Hezbollah's its leader Nasrallah is being killed, it's a very big deal, guys. That is gonna probably further destabilize the country of Israel. Maybe, who knows? Maybe not, because I mean, we're talking here about something.
The Israeli military has eliminated its most powerful target yet.
So the most powerful target, here we go, this guy here, Hassan Nasrallah. For a lot of Americans, they will say, who is this guy? One guy is no, this guy is also very much connected with Iran. I mean, it's like even more connected than Hamas or their own leaders, because Hamas is Sunni. These people are Shia, so they are connected not only military, not only politically, but also religiously to Iran.
Israel says longtime Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah was killed in an airstrike in Beirut. Hezbollah is now confirming that Nasrallah was killed. The Israeli military said Nasrallah was at Hezbollah's underground headquarters, one of several sites targeted in a series of massive explosions that the Lebanese health ministry says killed at least 6 and injured more than 90 others.
And I repeat, amongst those 6, there was also a very important figure within Iran, the senior Iran guard general killed. This guy is also a big deal, and it's another killing that will further exacerbate the tensions between Iran and Israel, the killing of this general that has been killed together with Nasrallah. I personally don't understand how it's possible that Nasrallah wasn't hidden in some bunker rather than in the middle of a residential area. I mean, it seems pretty stupid, but it's at the same time a confirmation that they were pretty sure of themselves. They didn't see this coming. When instead Israel is going after them one by one. So, I mean, it's not like, it's not a joke. You see on the screen, you have the GoFundMe. We have already thanked the sponsors this week. If you want to support us, you can do it. We have also Cash App. We're going to put it further on the screen, also the Cash App handle. We have been discussing, of course, how Hassan Nasrallah, very important figure. You can read all about the importance of Hezbollah, but in connection with Iran, in connection with Hamas, in connection with the secret societies and Freemasonry that have generated all this. Because at the end of the day, this eternal conflict in the Middle East, it's happening because there has always been the foreign intervention of the West in one way or another. At the moment, we know Iran is backed by China, is backed by Russia. They are working very closely. So it's obvious that Russia has warned about the possible extension of this war now that Nasrallah has been killed. These were the last moments of Nasrallah by Al Arabiya. We have a clip that shows the last moments when the Israeli raids hit the Beirut suburb where Nasrallah was. The last moments of this leader of the Hezbollah, of course, what transpires from the media is the usual attitude of calling somebody who is really a terrorist something else. I mean, suddenly it becomes a father figure, a moral compass, and a revered Muslim scholar. Because that's very important to say, no? The revered Muslim scholar is very important. In reality, the guy is a thug. The guy was a thug. He's now in hell, probably rotting like his predecessor. Hezbollah and Nasrallah have been killing Americans and Jews for decades now. They had participated to attacks that, I mean, when there was in 1983, if I don't, if I get it right, Hezbollah killed, I think, maybe 200 Americans, 300 Americans during the Lebanese conflict of 1982 that extended, of course, into 1983 and went on until 1985. So imagine the fact that Hezbollah has killed many Americans, and still our media here and even our current president and, of course, the vice president, they don't really support, of course, at least vocally, this action, which has killed a dangerous terrorist, because that's what he was, and and there is no excuse on that. I repeat, the first conflict in Lebanon generated on the 23rd of October 23, 1983, a double terrorist attack from Hezbollah on the multinational force. 241 Marines, US Marines died, 56 French soldiers, and many others. So this guy doesn't deserve the BS of the morally bankrupt Western media that is praising him as a father figure or a moral compass or a revered Muslim scholar. Let's be very honest and genuine about it, instead than, no, that's not possible, because the mainstream media wants to just brainwash and change their narrative every I mean, I remember it was 2004 when Osama bin Laden filtered the message that basically the attack also on 9/11 was also based on a revenge on what went on in the first Lebanese war. So I mean, it connects all the way to of course Osama bin Laden, 9/11, and here there is the two Twin Towers. These people, Hamas, Hezbollah, and they are not strictly Salafi jihadists because they are Shia, but they are, like I explained in volume 10 of my confession, it was actually the Shia Nizari Shashins that inspired the first jihadist. So this is an essential book for those who still don't have it. I highly suggest it if you want to finally grasp a complete understanding of what goes on in the Middle East. Well, instead, let's go back to volume 11. Let's go back to where we are now with the elections that will decide if America is brainwashed or not. Because regardless of the fact that this election might be rigged, and I know there'll be a lot of people saying that, regardless of the fact that we are fighting a lot already now.
There are a bunch of liars and cheaters, so that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, we are already fighting against attempts to...
Who's sick of hearing the commercial about the MAGA Republicans?
No, that happens only in California. Because it's with Greg Willis, it's only California. Here, we are talking about other kind of situations which are much more sinister when it comes to non-citizens voting, non-citizens that today, as you know, are given the possibility in certain cities in America to even participate to the police force. That was a subject that was recently picked up by Elon Musk. Now, I don't regard everything that Elon Musk does or says as genuine, or he seems to navigate a very thin line, Musk, because he's in with the establishment having what he has. At the same time, he has become, of course, of help for free speech with X. We are currently on X, so we have to thank him for that. That is in reality, Christine. It's not reality.
He has picked up that, guys.
Yeah, no, but Twitter was a censorship, never-ending censorship. X gives us at least the possibility of having the second part of this show with no censorship at all. So
yeah, but we're shadow banned, so nobody's seeing us. How do you like that?
Well, Christy, when it comes down to X, that is not the case. I think that is the case when it comes down to Facebook or YouTube. In any case, we are going to be on X and Rumble from minute 45 of this show for the second part of the show. So, going back to what Elon has focused, he has focused on the fall of the Roman Empire, on the fall of an empire. which seems to be a reoccurring event that happens every 250 years. Now, there's a couple of years, we are at year 248 since the beginning of our American adventure and the foundation of this incredible experiment called United States of America. But in theory, potentially, we have only 2 years left before this whole country starts having some really serious problem and collapses, implodes. Of course, if Kamala manages to get into the White House, that is probably going to happen, no matter what each one of us thinks as an American. I mean, we like America, we like what America is based on, but if America is taken over by a bunch of crooks and traitors, that's it, America is finished. So when we talk about brainwashing, we have to talk about cognitive warfare. And cognitive warfare, as you know, is one of the subjects of my latest book, because cognitive warfare is the way they can influence us. They can tell us that Kamala Harris is this or that. Kamala Harris, who has gone to the border yesterday with her fake rhetoric. I repeat, I personally don't trust anybody in this game, even Elon Musk. But we have to understand here at the moment we are navigating a very difficult situation. I mean, when I saw Elon Musk with Giorgia Meloni in a new kind of love affair, and Giorgia Meloni is the one that is pushing with Joe Biden, she's basically siding with Joe Biden all the way against Russia in a way that is probably going to bring us towards a nuclear Armageddon. I mean, of course, you understand that Elon Musk is either confused or either is playing, like I said, a ambivalent game. I always said that. In fact, that is really one of the reasons why probably I'm no longer guested on the Alex Jones show, where nowadays Elon Musk is always portrayed as some kind of saint. But I repeat, we don't trust him. And I'm not the only one who doesn't trust him. But in my books, you will understand also why. Volume 6.66, Volume 7, Volume 8 is the books that I have dedicated to Cyber Satan and the reality which is unfolding with the AI. It's a very dramatic reality. I mean, nowadays, psychological operations, psychological warfare is connected to the AI, and it becomes then cognitive warfare. So data centers with all your information, personal information, retrieved from social media, retrieved from anything you ever wrote on the internet, is accessible to these people who then can operate a cognitive warfare, which is different from psychological operations for one reason. Okay, we have brainwashing, mind control of the coercive kind, MK, that's another kind of thing. We have psychological operation, it's another kind of thing because the duration is somehow brief. While instead, cognitive warfare is meant to hack your mind and destabilize you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in this book, I explain all this, but now that America is really being destabilized, we need to understand. And so that's why today I wanted to go in some manuals of psychological warfare to explain how they do it, how these elections are being, how the perception of Kamala Harris, that used to be a third for everybody until a few months ago, even in her own party, nobody could stand her, and suddenly now she's the heroine that has to save America. And it's completely ridiculous. Here we are. This is a manual, a psychological warfare manual. Now, the PSYOP missions, this is actually still a quite primitive one compared to the latest ones in cognitive warfare, which I'm also going to show you, but it gives you certain ideas. The government forces will protect the people and defeat and surge. Ultimately, victory is assured. This need to stress ultimate victory is paramount. The fact that they are entering into enemy territory, but it's no longer like this when we are actually dealing with cognitive warfare, which is inflicted on our own people here in America. NATO PSYOPs and the aim of these PSYOPs that has been unclassified is already very interesting because it shows us. First of all, let's go and check out Kamala Harris in her rare speech near the border.
Before I begin, I do want to say a few words about Hurricane Helene. I spoke this morning with our FEMA administrator, Chris Well, and President Biden and I, of course, will continue to monitor the situation closely. We have mobilized more than 1,500 federal personnel to support those communities that have been impacted. We have food, water, and generators that are ready for deployment. And we are working to restore power for millions of people who currently are experiencing outages. And I just want to stress, and for the press that is here, to those who are watching, the storm continues to be dangerous and deadly, and lives have been lost, and the risk of flooding still remains high. So I continue to urge everyone to please continue to follow guidance from your local officials until we get past this moment. So thank you all. And now I'll speak about, in particular, the people who are here today and why we are gathered here together today. So Arizona, I think you all know, and this is why you are here, there are consequential issues at stake in this election. And one is the security of our border.
Well, this woman was nominated at the border, Zach Christie. And then now she's talking about the security of the border after they let in almost 20 million people, of which we have recently discovered there is at least a quite large number of assassins who have in their countries been arrested for homicide, who were let into this country.
That's really scary.
Pretty scary, no? And then we have everything else that is going on, because on top of that, we have to be now worrying of these non-citizens who somehow are capable of voting. Now, I think that it's quite important, though, that even the Hispanic minority is actually siding with Trump, because the people who are here legally, they don't want really, I mean, and we see it from the polls that have recently come out in favor of Trump. Let's see.
All right, here we go. A new batch of Fox News polls are out in a pair of crucial battleground states, and Darren Shaw is here to take us through it. He is the Republican partner on the Fox News polling. All right, Darren, thank you so much for being here. I want to first highlight what we are seeing happening on the ground in Arizona.
So this is Arizona, the place where Kamala Harris is actually, she went to do this photo op, however you want to call it. And in Arizona, this poll shows that the people somehow like her, because, Arizona is a state that's been literally invaded by people from California in the last few years who have changed the political landscape. However, when it comes to the Hispanics, the situation is quite different.
Okay, fine. We'll start with Georgia. This is obviously one of the critical states that we're watching right now, where Harris has a 3-point lead. We have been talking about how this is looking like what could be the closest presidential election in U.S. history.
And that's what worries me. The closest presidential election in U.S. history, because we saw what happened in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when it comes down to these elections, they will decide the future of America. But if America is made out of people who go on TikTok, get brainwashed by influencers, these influencers work for the White House. I show how mind control today is using the influencers, and that's why they're being treated like stars and hosted in the White House and so on. So if we think, it makes us really doubt the possibility that we're gonna ever win in November. These elections will, though, regardless of the fact that many people say they are rigged, guys, the Republicans are actually doing a lot of things to investigate and prevent any wrongdoing this time. They had a bad experience in 2020, so they are like, how you say, like Falcon. They are watching. They are kind of there.
Eagle eye on it. Wow.
Yeah. But of course, we will never be certain that they will not in some way try to sabotage or let the non-citizens vote, which is a possibility. However, aside from that, then there is the young Americans, the millennials, the victims of cognitive warfare, because that's what happens here. The victims of cognitive warfare often are the younger people, are the people of a certain age, because they are easier to manipulate. Okay, I'm not saying they don't have, they're not intelligent, but somehow these planned psychological operations that are conducted towards them, well, find today, especially when you have a cognitive warfare weapon which belongs to China, and China wants, of course, the Democrats and the deep state to win, because they know that with Donald J. Trump, China will have a hard time. So TikTok, it's a cognitive warfare weapon. That's why they want to shut it down, but nobody really shuts it down, because they seem to all have their interest in this social media. However, if it stays in the hands of China, it's definitely a tool that needs to be monitored, especially for our youngsters who seem to not understand all this, who traditionally fall in the hands of, for centuries, we have had the possibility of people getting influenced simply by what they read, what they were told by their leaders. Then we had the radio, then we had the TV, but now we have much more. Now we have a different understanding of the brain. We have AI machines, complex analysis that we can't even imagine. Cyber psychology is part of all this. Cyber psychology is a new branch, is a complex scientific field that encompasses all psychological phenomena. Cyber psychology examines the way humans and machines impact each other, and cyber psychology is part of this increasing cognitive warfare that we have happening every day. So what do you think of this, Christian?
What do I think?
Will we be able, will the Americans be smart enough?
I hope that they go out and vote, and people don't give up.
Okay, but voting, when you go, I see, for example, there is YouTubers, and we saw them, that go around various cities in the US, and depending where they are, they get different answers, Like, for example, if you go around Pennsylvania today, probably you will get and you go and ask, are you voting Kamala or Trump? They will probably tell you they vote Trump. You go in Georgia, they will probably tell you they vote for Kamala. There is a lot of people who have been brainwashed, dumbed down. We have talked in the past about reality TV and how it dumbed down people in the 90s, starting from the 90s. And now we have social networks like TikTok that damn you even more. So I think that the situation is pretty...
I've never seen an opponent in the political race being villainized like they villainized Donald Trump.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's just terrible. And not only is he being victimized and villainized, we are too, because all of the Americans that follow him are being labeled terrorists, and I'm tired of it. We are not. We have MAGA in the middle of our name. Zagami is MAGA, and I'm tired of hearing about it. And every time I hear it, I get so mad.
Okay, but now we have a problem. We have
Right.
a youngsters, so once you send them to the university, once you send them to college, they will come out different.
Well, yeah, we know that.
They will come out different. I mean, it's an experience I think that most parents today have. The parents will raise their children with certain values. They go to these colleges, they come out completely brainwashed. So cognitive warfare is what they're using. They are, of course, targeting the youth, which is the future of this country, and they are completely brainwashing them against Donald J. Trump. That's why when you go today to a university, a campus, anywhere here in the United States, and you ask about Trump, they will probably say, "Oh, we hate Trump." Listen, the same mentality that we have seen in the second Trump shooter, and in his son that this week was arrested for possession of pedopornographic material.
Hello. What a bunch
So,
of pigs.
This is, I mean, so cognitive warfare is already being used here in America. They are manipulating the people who will probably tend to vote now at this point Kamala Harris, and if they win, it will demonstrate that their attempt to brainwash America is successful. That is where what I'm I'm getting at. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I hope that America is wise enough, and that regardless of the age, of the fact you are a millennial, you're not a millennial, you are capable of understanding that they are you. But how many people will, I live with my wife here in California, in a place where the majority of people have been brainwashed left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And so now the term cognitive warfare has been used with this meaning in the United States since 2017. Like I said, I discussed it in volume 11 of my Confessions because it's the future of mind control. It describes the modes of action to state or influence and manipulate subject, a subject that will be completely brainwashed. And this subject doesn't have to be necessarily an enemy abroad, but today can be also somebody, all of us are subject constantly to these psyops that are augmented through the use of new technology. That's what cognitive warfare basically is. The approach of cognitive warfare is different because aside from the propaganda and all that, you have this new information warfare that includes the cyber element, let's say. The cognitive warfare domain is our actions, our cognitions, our perceptions, and of course our judgment. And if they force on us the constant idea that Trump is evil, the Republicans are a bunch simply of bigots and all that, and they constantly deride, we have seen Kamala is not really somebody who gives interviews, who answer questions. Up until now, she has done very few interviews. She's only capable of reading from a teleprompter. Otherwise, she starts giggling and she gets out of control. And so that is, she has let millions of illegal immigrants, and she still has the courage to go down to the border and say this.
The United States is a sovereign nation, and I believe we have a duty to set rules at our border and to enforce them. And I take that responsibility very seriously. We are also a nation of immigrants. The United States has been enriched by generations of people who have come from every corner of the world to contribute to our country and to become part of the American story. And so we must reform our immigration system to ensure that it works in an orderly way.
Listen, I mean, works in orderly way. 3 years and a half of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and we have basically chaos in America, chaos in every city. But still, they are pushing on us a different idea. And so that is okay, we have now this November, we have the final result of it all. Did the reality shows, the social networks, so that means the Kardashians, the TikTok, the Instagram, and all this bullshit, finally transform America in a dumbed down country of fools, or is America still a country that believes in the First and Second Amendment? Because the moment in which Kamala will come into power, just as Joe Rogan said, the First Amendment will be under attack. So, going back to this, we can say that at the moment, we are in front of an experiment. Let's pretend it's an experiment still. Let's pretend we still don't know the result. Because if we want to, I mean, if we are too negative about it, then we will say, okay, Kamala has already won and America is lost. I don't believe that's the case.
I don't think so.
No, I don't.
I think they're scared. That's why they keep trying to kill him.
Of course, that is also.
And I think a lot of people turn too. So, and I think that all of the polls are wrong, and and everything else.
Somebody says, "Bro, America is not even your land." No, sorry, I went through the legal. Somebody here in the judge said America is not even your land.
Oh, shut up and go. I mean, really.
I want to just
it is
explain.
your land now. You're American.
am American. I have an American passport, something that a lot of Americans don't even have. I worked hard on it. I didn't come here illegally. So, you see, this has been earned. Fighting for freedom. Fighting for this constitution.
Oh, yeah, it was hard too.
And it was really hard. It wasn't a joke. But it was also hard to live in Europe under those socialists and communists who wanted to ruin.
You have to see it to believe it and live it to believe it.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. And when you say I'm the American Indians, another thing, that is also something that maybe not many people know about me, but I have American Indian blood. Christy can confirm that. She saw it also in the...
And the Indians know him.
Yes, they even, because an ancestor of mine, the Lion family was well established in Chile, married with the daughter of what is known as Robinson Crusoe Island. And so I have American blood, meaning American Indian blood. So this should be enough to shut up a lot of people who don't even have an inch. I'm not talking about Pocahontas with 000, whatever her name was. Remember that politician that claimed that she had American Indian blood and she had nothing. I'm talking about proper American Indian blood.
And America is a mixing pot.
No, but I mean, just to straighten up a few people that maybe...
But we're all Americans. I'm American. I don't have Indian blood, Indian blood, but I'm American.
Of course. But just to make it clear. Okay. So, moving further with what America is a melting pot and a big experiment. America is a big experiment, but it's a big experiment that now is at a turning point, I would say, in history, because the moment in which the Democrats transform this country in they want to bring in America what we have been escaping from in Europe. They want to transform America in that technocracy filled with censorship, which I have escaped from Europe.
Yeah, I know.
No, and there is another thing. I'm half British, half English, of course. Some people know that. We decided not to go and live in England because already back a few years ago, there was people who were visited by the police only for a Facebook post. And that is the same thing that happened to me in Italy. So the
They come with sirens too. They come with sirens in the night.
Both Great Britain or Europe are places which you can literally be arrested for what you write or what you say on a post or on a video on YouTube. I mean, I had this experience. So I tell you, this doesn't happen yet in America because we are not yet at that level and we don't want to get to that level. That's why Kamala Harris needs to be stopped.
She does.
So,
and when you can't defend yourself with a weapon, and all you have is your kitchen things, and they have guns, and you're sitting there, a woman, and you have to defend yourself, and it's just terrible. It's terrible. It's a terrible way to live. It's just horrible. Well, I thought it was going to be better than that, and it wasn't. It was horrible. It wasn't like Dolce Vita or any of that BS.
But in Italy, after the Second World War, the guns were taken. Like all the guys in NATO, the only country that has the right to bear arms, the citizens have the right to bear arms, is America. This was something that was methodically arranged, just like it was methodically arranged in 1948 through the Smith-Mundt Act, that Americans will be the only ones who will not be brainwashed by what NATO was pushing as propaganda and psychological warfare. In 2012, Obama made an amendment to that Smith-Mundt Act. That is an important thing that needs to be remembered, because it's not yet a repeal of the original law, which gives us still the legal possibility, if we are wise enough to detect a psychological operation that is being conducted on us, to maybe bring them to court. But having said that, nowadays, you don't have borders with the internet. You don't have the radio transmission, the TV transmission like Voice of America pointed abroad. You have the internet, which is pretty much open. Mm-hmm. So nowadays they can brainwash us and use cognitive warfare and get away with it, and that's no problem. I mean, it's a constant. I mean, the PSYOPs domain is one thing. Like I said, cognitive warfare domain is another, and it's the main goal is to defeat the people by altering their perceptions. Now, usually this should be this kind of psychological warfare should be moved against an enemy. But the problem is that now the objective of this attack from is us. We are the enemies of the deep state. We are the free-minded individuals that if we rebel to the system, we have the FBI knocking at their door saying, you have posted this or that on. Because it started to happen here in America. It's not as bad as it was in Italy and what we experienced in Italy, but we have seen videos in the last few weeks of FBI agents. Fortunately, when they go in front of an American that has posted certain kind of things, usually that kind of American is an American that knows the Constitution and tells these FBI agents to go and screw themselves because they are violating, of course, the First Amendment. But how long before that First Amendment is put back into discussion along with the Second Amendment and the right to defend us? These two amendments are under attack. So the cognitive dimension is based on knowledge of the psychology of the people involved and the psychosociology of the specific population they want to target, or that part of the population. Like, for example, we want to target people from 7 to 40, or from 14 to 19, or from 19 to 20. They know exactly how to reach us today, because we have been the ones giving them the information in the first place with the social networks, with our free access to this. They told us it was free. Facebook is free, and everybody went on Facebook.
They took all our data.
Before Facebook, it was MySpace.
Yeah, and they mined all our data, and now they have it all, and they know exactly everything about you. I mean, you can go on there and pull up on your phone and see that they know everything that you like, everything that you want, even what you haven't bought yet. They'll put it in front of you. I mean, it's really crazy. I saw that today. I mean, every single thing I like just came up on a page, and I was like, how is that possible? AI.
Somebody is saying there are strong populist parties in Europe at the moment, Vox Party in Spain, Marine Le Pen. I tell you one thing, guys. I mean, I know very well the right-wing movements in Europe. I mean, I was brought up in Europe, so I can tell you that today cognitive warfare actually in Europe is, it was born in France. Cognitive warfare was born in 2002 in France. And it was the French military that developed first these kind of techniques. France is the place where you see a lot of people, marching in the streets, protesting for this, protesting for that. But still you have Emmanuel Macron for a second consecutive term. And this demonstrates that the remaining people who don't go out and protest are just a bunch of brainwashed individuals. So here we go back to the subject of today. These elections, regardless of the fact they might be rigged, I hope not. I hope they are just, we hope. But regardless of the fact that they might be rigged to a certain extent, of the sabotage that we have to understand, if not us, not the people who know the Constitution, who love our country, not the people who vote for Trump, who are generally people who really love America. Mm-hmm. But what about the other people? The minorities that have been let into this country legally, who, of course, will always tend to vote for the Democrats and are completely brainwashed. What about the people in a university and a campus, the young people, who seem to have a very confused idea of politics, thinking that maybe the first black woman to become president is something that will save the day, when this same woman has been already there for 3.5 years and has actually done nothing to better the conditions of the Americans. So while they are moving forward with complex cyber-scientific research programs, while the US and its allies are now instituting a command center called the Transformation Command Center in Norfolk, Virginia, where François de Clausel, this former officer of the French military, has established the first center of cognitive warfare. These people want us want us completely uniformed. They don't want any more. You see, we discussed earlier in the show, Elon Musk. We can discuss also truth, the social, truth social of Trump. We have now these platforms like Rumble, which is the platform we're going to be going now on, and we invite all of you to join us, because we're going to be leaving now YouTube in a moment for X and Rumble. But with Kamala, we might not have X, we might not have Rumble. The cognitive warfare wants all platforms under their control, so they can uniform and direct, just like they did during the pandemic. Everybody, and it's sad. I think it's very sad that we are pushed into this direction.
It's evil.
Definitely.
You can't take people's will away. You can't.
So we're going to be going on Rumble and X now, because I would like to discuss also other things that we can't discuss on Facebook, because still Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, it's still, he has, of course, tried to detach from this specific presidential election by saying he doesn't want, but he had an active role in what happened in 2020. And if America has been ruined in the last 4 years, is also because of what he has done. And we should never forget that. Some people say he's become a libertarian. Some other people say he wants to detach from politics altogether. Now that he's basically launching even further his meta idea that seems to be now starting to produce some dividends. So let's see what happens. YouTube, Facebook. I mean, YouTube is Google. Trump has just threatened Google of legal actions once he's president, because they are definitely biased against him. Today, Kamala, you just Google her name and you get all kinds of results of this heroine of the people who is fighting for the middle class, for people, also for the poor people of America. All this bullshit is complete nonsense, of course. And then we have Trump, who is instead portrayed as the villain by the algorithms.
I have something to say.
Yeah.
You keep saying it to young people, but when that kid that we watch on YouTube went around asking people, it was the old people that were saying that they were going to vote for Kamala.
It depends which state they are, really. I noticed that. But it also depends what kind of young people. However, you're right. There is, unfortunately, also a lot.
They'd be smarter by then, but they're not.
No, because there is a problem here. You have the Democrats of the past who still think they're voting for the Democrat Party that actually had some American values, while instead today, as we know, those values, even Bill Clinton had values that were more American. I mean, I know Bill Clinton, Bill Clinton.
He seems good compared to all this crap.
Yeah. I mean,
when Clinton looks good, we're in a bad place. So,
I mean, the Kamala Harris makes Bill Clinton look good. It's quite incredible. I mean, in certain points, including immigration, including the current situation with crime, law and order in the cities. Now, this week, me and Christy went to the Secretary of State building in LA. Okay. Now, okay.
Yikes.
Let me explain a little bit our experience, because this experience is quite interesting. We went out of the highway. You go out of the highway, you go directly on South Spring Street. You arrive basically in this beautiful, looks beautiful, but let me tell you what happened. It is an historical part of LA. Many movies has been filmed there. There is the historic landmarks that are clearly visible in certain movies, including the court there with the stairs that we see many.
Very beautiful buildings.
There is very beautiful buildings. Okay, altogether, very beautiful buildings. However, we didn't know that this area is today completely taken over by zombies and bums, who of course criminals, yeah, that basically know that there is people from out of town, because I mean, when it comes to Secretary of State, there is only 2 buildings where you can do an apostille in California. One is in Sacramento and one is in LA. So if you come from anywhere in California, you have to go to these 2 buildings. They know exactly that people come from out of town to go to also the corner. So the people who were initially, when I entered the Spring Street, I saw even some FBI agents with their badges that were going to the court. There was policemen, of course, that were standing out. We park the car, we go into the street, and we start seeing a different kind of scenario, though. Mm-hmm. What kind of people were those, Christine?
Well, it was probably the most dangerous place I'd ever found myself in my life. And I've been to 8th Avenue in Brooklyn in the 80s, and I used to hang out there. And I wasn't scared at all because I just go around like that. I don't have fear. But you had to really be on your toes. I mean, I went there thinking it was going to be a lovely, LA experience I got dressed up to go. And I would have never dressed like that if I would have known. I would have wore a hat. I would have wore my hair up. I would have wore all black.
Okay,
so we didn't dress like that.
Okay, let me explain again. We went to this building. We did what we had to do, and we saw that in the street, it was really weird, because there were only either policemen or either these thugs, these people who were obviously looking for praise.
Yeah, you were prey on that street.
Yeah, but then things got even worse when we had to go back into the highway, because it's a one-way street, so you have to take another street, and then we entered the most dangerous area of LA, Chinatown.
Whoa.
Today is the highest crime in LA, and I tell you, guys, every time the red light stopped my car, I
was waiting for that scenario that you see where they all come up to the car, and
at one point we literally passed in front of the homeless center with 100 people in front of LA. Guys, it was encampments. Chinatown with even Chinese homeless. I never saw Chinese homeless in my life. I saw Chinese homeless in this
There was yelling in the street. It was lawless. It was absolutely lawless everywhere, and you can see that. It's like the criminals were in charge. Yeah. And I don't know exactly what the police were exactly doing, because, I saw police cars. Maybe you saw the police, but I didn't see any. I just saw criminals. Even on the way down from the elevator, our first experience, let me talk for a minute.
In the park, yes.
In the parking lot, because we found this safe parking lot. And just on the way down, we walked a few feet, and on the way down, there was this guy, and he was like, I knew he was trying to scam on us. Like, he was looking, I have really good peripheral vision, so I can see, and he was looking, he was checking me out to see what I had. And they don't check you out to see you look good or anything. They want what you have. They want your wallet. They want your money. They want anything that's valuable. They will take it. They don't care. And so that's what that guy, I knew that guy was, was looking at us to rob us.
But aside from the people, this was still the financial district. This was still South Spring Street. Beautiful buildings, some of them used for some incredible movies that we also saw. But it was like being in a zombie. It was like being in a I Am Legend kind of situation at one point. Real. Because there was really nobody normal in this guy. There was only these thugs, these lowlifes that were preying on people that were going to these offices. And that was pretty much the case.
I've never felt like prey in my life until that moment.
But then going into Chinatown and going towards the highway, it was basically like, at one point I saw one guy, classic tattoos, gangster style, and this guy obviously had a gun and was going with a bike, because carjacking is a reality now in LA. They come next to you with a pistol, and they carried. And it happened to actors now, even so.
Yeah, two actors from General Hospital. It happened.
Yeah. So I mean,
Can I tell them what happened?
Well, I think most people know because it went on the news. It went on.
No, not about that. That what happened to us.
Well,
because we were approaching this terrible, terrible, terrible place, and I felt it, and I knew we couldn't stop. And so he was driving. If I was driving, I would have went, but he was driving, and so he's driving all cautious and everything. And then I see that he did get his tires over the line there. The light turned red when he was going through the intersection, but I told him to blow that. I was like, go, 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 go. I screamed, go. And he went and he listened to me. And then he's like, well, I hope I don't get a ticket. But there was no cameras. It was lawless.
Yeah, it is definitely a lawless. But I mean, so try to avoid Chinatown and LA, guys, if you ever go there. I mean, and try not to park your car outside of a car parking that is closed car parking, because you're not going to find your car. I had a friend here coming from Palm Desert. He just went there up half an hour to visit somebody. Came down and the car was robbed. So I mean,
coming back to Palm Springs was like coming back to paradise. Let me tell you, I was so happy to be home. I mean, I was so happy to be away from that crap. I'm sorry for everybody who lives in it, but y'all need to move, because that is shit that you're living in.
I mean, I in the afternoon I met actually by chance some friends who came from LA. And I told them
actually there's good parts of LA. There really are good parts.
No, but I told them, listen, I experienced this in this area, and they told me, well, yes, that is the worst area at the moment of LA. I mean, Chinatown and around Chinatown at the moment is the worst of the worst area of LA. And it's not the only areas that are considered bad, because now also the other, I think, Little Korea, Little whatever, they're all becoming, unfortunately.
Little Tokyo?
I mean, it's big. Even Little Tokyo is starting to get more and more, more and more criminal, believe it or not.
I didn't go back. I haven't been back there.
So this was our experience. Now we go for part 2, guys, on Rumble and X, so we can discuss also some other things that let's say have to do with the pandemic, and so I will not like to discuss them on Facebook or YouTube. Thank you to our sponsors. Who are our sponsor, Christy?
Bruce Kodish and Daniel Estes, Malgarizada Minta, and Daniel R. Kammerer, and Ellen Sicatre. Thank you very much.
So I see you after the musical break on X and Rumble. Join us there for some free speech. That's the only possibility we have these days, guys. We need to go on platforms that can guarantee us 100% our free speech. See you soon.
In that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction. Negative utopia, science, technology, social organization,